Hey, welcome to another album review. And yes, okay, look, I owed it to you because my mistake, so I just decided to do one from Sleep Token when yesterday I did two. Because instead of starting with one, I started with two, and now the second review is one because, you know, it's me, I guess. Now, I was actually really curious about these EPs. First, because it was actually the first one, so I was like maybe thinking lower quality. What's going on? Like what's gonna happen here? And well, I mean, it turns out that no, not really. I actually yesterday I enjoyed the song Calquat or Calcutta, I think it was, um, quite or Calcutta. I don't know how to pronounce that actually. I don't know what the correct pronunciation is, but I enjoyed that song a lot. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm already owning the EP review, so I'm gonna do it. And yeah, look, these EP is kind of the same way as the first or the second one, rather, the first one that I've reviewed. It's kind of like on the same frame and same soundscape, but it's heavier usually. Like the second EP, the two, right? Essentially just focuses a lot, especially like the melodies and everything, and definitely feels more, I guess, indie rock as I've talked about yesterday. This one definitely feels way more, pop or indie mixed with metal. Definitely, like you see a lot more elements of metal present here, especially with the distorted guitars or a lot of the drumming, especially as well. Like a lot of it is definitely, I would say, like sadder, I guess, in a way. Like it's just the overall tone is much more negative, right? It's a bit more serious. It's a bit more sad, right? There's a certain hopelessness to it, I guess, which in a way it's actually very comforting. One of the things that I was actually thinking about yesterday after doing my review is that a lot of the music tends to sound like, I mean, in a way, the best way I can describe it is literally "Who hurt you?" You kind of like feel that it's very comforting. Like I think the music is very comforting. I think that's the word that I was perhaps like lacking in terms of describing. And this goes for both EPs. Again, like this EP is more on the definitely darker side than yesterday's. I think two is definitely a bit more like I guess this EP is more the sadness of the storm, while the second EP is more the sadness of the aftermath, if that makes sense, right? But they both sort of embody this quality of being sort of, at the same time they're sad, but at the same time they're kind of like, there's a certain hope, right? There's a certain hopefulness that sort of permeates a lot of their sound. And definitely sort of feels very comforting, and I think that's exactly why people tend to love these bands so much. Is that I think that a lot of the songs, they're not necessarily super heavy or like super fun or like they're not on that register. They're just comforting. Like I think that this is sort of the type of thing that a lot of people just put on because and look, I'll give it to them, they're really good at doing that. Again, I was listening to Calcutta pretty much after the review. Like I listened to it all day. It was I listened to it today as well, quite a few times. It's a very beautiful song in a way, especially like the intro. And again, like yesterday I talked about how a lot of the heaviness of the songs was more to sort of highlight or perhaps maximize even the or to basically just create a bigger impact when it comes to the melodic sections, where the melodic sections are the main point and the heavy parts of the song aren't there to change those melodic sections, they're there to enhance it, right, to create a bigger impact, right? And I think that is especially true like with this band, because I think that a lot of the comfort comes exactly from that, right? Is that they don't focus on the being heavy or anything like that. They focus more on just creating this sort of really nice, beautiful music. Very, I was gonna say artistic, but like not in the actual art sense, because every art is artistic, that's kind of the point, but like in the quote unquote pretentious sense, where it's like it's very artsy basically, I'm trying to like use that as a descriptive here, and yeah, like a lot of the songs just feel very comforting, I think, and I think that's why people tend to be drawn to them so much, and why people tend to value the songs so much, right? Like I think that it's perhaps a little bit of a mistake, because I've seen this band get quite a lot of hate these past few months, especially because you see a lot of metal fans being like, oh, but they're not real metal, and I get why people say that. I get why people have that argument, and I agree. It's like they're not necessarily metal, but I don't think that matters. Like, I don't particularly care, like, super hard about genres, so I don't particularly care, that much about, like, if a band is metal or not. Like, I care more about their sound and what their sound ends up doing, and I just think that Sleep Token are, interesting enough for people to like them, and I think that's all that matters. Sure, they're not exclusively metal, that's right, okay, but they do use metal elements, and I think that people are very drawn to how comforting the entire experience is, regardless if the majority of the songs are more this indie vibe or if they are more this metal vibe. Like, I don't think that it being indie vibe or metal vibe really matters when the core message, the core sort of principle of the music here is that comfort that it provides to people. And I think that if you listen to these EPs, you listen to both of them, because I think both of them can embody that quality, you sort of come away with, a very just interesting experience from the perspective of it's not that the songs sort of like awaken anything in you. Like, these songs are more like a, sort of, they're the type of thing that you hear when you're sad type thing, because like it's sort of that idea of hurting yourself with sad music when you're already sad. In reality, you're not hurting yourself, it's just, connecting with the song and engaging with the music, and in a way, that is the music that is comforting you, right? So a lot of this music, I think that, at least as far as I've heard from Sleep Token, that's sort of what they embody. Like, I get why people hate them, I get that they're not like, the typical metal that a lot of people listen to, and definitely more of their, like, as far as I've been able to hear, more of their songs are non-metal than they are metal, but I don't think that matters. I just think people are drawn to them because of the quality of being comforting, and I think that's really what people should be looking towards, right? Like, I don't care if all of a sudden a band decides to, change genres or whatever, or if they decide to do a fusion, or if a band, like, isn't properly one genre or the other. I don't really care that much, right? What I care about is the sound, the specific sound that the songs have, and if I like them enough and if I find them engaging enough, that's okay by me. Like, I don't need the song. I get it. Like, some people are really heavy on like the categorization and everything, but I don't particularly care all that much about it, I'm gonna be honest, right? So to me, it's just sort of kind of a futile conversation, because genres are really only useful to try and find music that sounds kind of the same, right? And that's cool because it allows you to discover new music without you necessarily needing to know the bands or whatever, but at the same time I think people get so stuck up with trying to be gatekeepers of music that they end up not actually giving bands a chance and sounds a chance. And I think that, especially when it comes to the more, I guess, casual listeners, that doesn't really happen. I think there's a lot of people, especially nowadays with the era of the internet, there's a lot of people that don't give two shits if this is actual metal or if it's not metal, or if people don't consider it true metal. They listen to this band and they go, oh shit, the singer sounds really fucking cool, he has a really like soft voice, which is actually like, I was super surprised when I actually heard it. I didn't mention this yesterday, but the singer's voice is like very soft, it's very again, it contributes really well to that sense of comforting that the songs provide, right? And overall, the entire composition seems to be more of this sort of electronic approach to indie, right? Again, like, this band isn't metal in the sense of they're making metal, they're just making music, and some of it as metal elements, and I think that's completely okay, because I think it contributes so much for the type of sound that they are trying to bring. And I think people that get too stuck on genres or whatever end up perhaps not giving the band a chance, when in reality I think that, look, if you don't like this type of music, that's completely fine, but I don't think that trying to argue if they're metal or not really matters at all. Like, who gives a shit if they're metal or not? They're good, they sound really good, and honestly, if you need, songs that are comforting, music that is comforting, as far as I've been able to hear, at least for these two EPs, Sleep Token sound comforting. So I understand why people feel so drawn to it, and honestly, again, I've been playing Calcutta quite a lot, so I feel drawn to them as well. So yeah, honestly, really big surprise. This was totally not what I was expecting by Sleep Token, by the way. Like, I knew that they have elements that weren't metal from what people said, but I didn't expect for them to sound like this, so it has been like a huge surprise, and it's been a very, very pleasant one. Like, I have heard these two EPs, and I genuinely, I'm like, bro, why all the hate? Generally, I don't get the hate for this band, I just don't, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, like, I know it's just 3 songs because it's the other EP and whatnot, and I probably should have done something bigger. I will definitely see their other albums, because now my interest is like generally picked. I've enjoyed quite a lot when it comes to these 2 EPs, so I will definitely listen to the albums, because I definitely want to hear with the rest that they have and everything. As far as sound goes and songs and whatnot, they sound really good, they sound really clean. The drummer seems to be really talented, the fucking singer has a really nice soft voice, this entire fusion that they do with the music, I liked it a lot. I can understand why people like it, and I will definitely review their albums in the future. But yeah, as far as this specific EP and the Vibe Meter, these Vibe Meters perhaps... okay, look, I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. Let's give 2 EPs, both EPs 8 out of 10. Although I think that if I were to go back to yesterday, I would probably bump that EP up to 9 out of 10. But, again, my Vibe Meter isn't exactly to try and give a specific accurate score, it's just sort of to give a score, because I know some people like it, even though I don't particularly care all that much about scores, especially because, again, they change all the time. But yeah, that's pretty much for today, and tomorrow I'll actually have a video game OST that was submitted by someone, so look out for that, and I'll see you tomorrow.